In a world where the news gets twisted, John and Tom stand tall, never wished it. MAGA hats on, they take the stage. With laughter and facts, they break the cage. Unsanctioned voices feel less and bold, turning the tide, watch the truth unfold. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining a light. Oh, debating the nonsense of the woke parade. With every punchline, conservative trade, they tackle the issues with humor and wit. In Unsanctioned America, they won't quit. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite, as John and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining a light. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite, as John and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining a light. Oh, together they rise, wear their pride like a crown. In Unsanctioned America, never backing down. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight, lasting through the night, shining a light. Oh, shining a light.
You better thank a union member for sick leave. You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
Okay, hold on to it. Ma'am, the U.S. is experiencing record inflation, the worst in 30 years, way beyond expectations. Can you tell us a little bit about how you would prevent the new spending in your Build Back Better agenda from exacerbating the problem? And also, what else are you going to do to fix this problem with inflation?
All right, thank you. Well, let's start with this. Prices have gone up, and families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. When you see these prices go up, it has a direct impact on the quality of life for all people in our country. But there is also a point that is important to make on the Build Back Better framework. It is designed to make it less expensive for working people to live. It was specifically designed to bring down the costs.
It doesn't seem to be working.
I don't know what she's talking about, but whatever its designs were, its outcome has been to make every American far more poor than they were when they got into office, and it's really horrendous.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned America. Here with school board member John Arguello, my good friend, citizen Tom Lord. We have a great show. I mean, this show is packed with news, mostly centered around the abysmal record of this Democrat presidential candidate. But it should be a ton of fun. Stick with us. We're going to say a quick little prayer. We're going to first do a rundown. Let's do a rundown of what we're going to talk about tonight. And then we are going to do a prayer and get into the show. So let's start with what you just saw. Commala pretends that she's blacker than ever. I don't know where that accent came from, Zuckerberg, here's big news. Zuckerberg admits censorship, election interference, and COVID misinformation. Kamala's week includes my values have not changed, no regrets about holding up the Biden facade, and insults Gold Star families. You think that's enough for a week, Tom?
Busy week for her, but
That's a lazy, but that's not all. She also lied on her resume. We're going to talk about that. What were you going to say, Tom?
No, I mean, she's only done one interview, but so much has come out of that one interview,
I know. It's the interview that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
She's not the only one that lied on her resume. Tim Walz lied on his resume. Apparently, that's a hot topic for Democrat candidates. Females complain that one lady golfer has too many balls in her bag. Kamala's faith outreach led by alleged anti-Semitic, anti-white. And Vermont discourages confusing words in their schools. Words like son and daughter. We hear they're going to cancel math lessons next.
The land of Bernie.
The land of Bernie. Stolen valor, hot resume item for Dem candidates, as we mentioned earlier, and a chief of staff or Chinese spy. Which do Democrats prefer? All Arizona counties have been sued for refusing to remove illegal aliens from the voting rolls, and a Democrat state senator leaves the Democrat Party and endorses Trump. So all that and more on this episode of Unsanctioned. It is episode 241, September 5, 2024. Let's do a quick prayer and then we'll get into the show. Lord, as much as all this stuff is going on, the things that we just talked about, we are truly grateful to have the just to be blessed by living in this country, being a citizen of the greatest country in the world. We know that times are tough. Times are tough for all Americans throughout our country, but we pray and hope that we will come together in unity with these next elections, and that it will bring a little bit of peace and harmony to our communities. But let it be one that's based on truth and dignity and justice and fairness and honesty. We know that those are not words that carry a lot of weight in the political world, but we pray that you inspire the leaders of this country to do right and do good. And then we also pray for the citizens who are not in leadership to stand up and take part in their civic duty, vote on biblical principles, and be involved in their nation and in their communities. In your son's name, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Let's get to it, Tom.
Getting some news. And this is the big story, John. It's actually vindication for everyone that was called a conspiracy theorist or that they were full of crap, that this couldn't be happening. It's not happening. All the fact checkers that are on Facebook that told you were wrong.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg admitted in a letter to Representative Jim Jordan that his company, Facebook, was pressured by the Biden-Harris administration to censor Americans, particularly regarding content about COVID-19. This video right here explains it all, John.
We know about this letter that Mark Zuckerberg sent to Jim Jordan is because Jim Jordan posted it. So about COVID censorship, Mark Zuckerberg writes, in 2021, senior officials of the Biden administration, including those from the White House, repeatedly pressured our teams for months to censor certain COVID-19 related content, including humor and satire, and expressed significant frustration when we did not meet their demands. I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. On that point, a few minutes ago, a White House official told us, when confronted with a deadly pandemic, this administration encouraged responsible actions to protect public health and safety. Our position has been clear and consistent. We believe tech companies and other private actors should take into account the effects their actions have on the American people while making independent choices about the information they present. And that's not all. Zuckerberg is also writing about Hunter Biden censorship. He says, when we saw a New York Post story reporting on corruption allegations involving then Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden's family, we sent that story to fact checkers for review and temporarily demoted it while we were waiting for a reply. It's since been made clear that the reporting was not Russian disinformation, and in retrospect, we should not have demoted the story. I asked President Biden about this. At the time, his team was apparently trying to censor this Hunter content.
You still think that the stories from the fall about your son Hunter were Russian disinformation and a smear campaign, like you said?
Yes. God love you, man. You're a one-horse pony.
And we've still never heard anybody from the White House come out to admit what we all now know, that it was not Russian disinformation, despite what President Biden said there at the end of 2020 and what his team told us once they took office in 2021. Back to you.
Hey, Mr. One-Horse Pony.
Just reminding us of those sound bites.
So even, I think, over a year in office, you asked Jen Psaki about the same thing, and they stuck to their guns. They said, absolutely, it was Russian disinformation. So that was apparently just their line?
Yes, and they continued to treat that letter that was signed by a couple dozen former intel agents who were talking about their opinions of Russian disinformation. That remained the gospel here. And again, we know that this is not Russian disinformation, but we've never actually heard anybody correct that the way that Mark Zuckerberg did with this letter.
Right,
Yeah. And before I cut to you, John, I'm just going to say this. Zuckerberg says in his letter that they were pressured to censor this information. I don't believe they were pressured at all. I think they were more than willing to go ahead and censor the truth. And this is what you have to fear. And this is what you have to look forward to if you elect Kamala Harris. More of this. And what are your thoughts, John?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's shocking that he's admitting it, and you got to know that the pressure that he's receiving now has to be more than the pressure that he received to put out that disinformation and to hide people's opinions and so on. These are first of all, he's acting like if this is like somebody else. These are his views, right? His own world views were aided and supported by this behavior of censoring and putting out misinformation. And I hope that he's held accountable in some way for it. This is just crazy. Talk about election interference. He should be prosecuted for it. Yeah. And somebody has to pay. I think that Facebook should be fined $1 billion, and maybe that's not gonna shut them down or anything. But it should be a huge cost. They should be held accountable. And if the executives aren't fired, then they need to be prosecuted for election interference. It's that simple. Florida should go after them, right? Because in Florida you can. So our governor should set them, should send them a letter saying that you need to surrender to the courthouse, and we're gonna prosecute you for this. It shouldn't be left alone. And I'm sure that he's terrified that Trump is going to come into office and, we're going to have an attorney general that actually cares about following the law and allowing fair elections. And that means that he's going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And I think there's multiple factors in play. I think it's definitely that. But I also think he's losing on multiple levels. He's losing Facebook, Instagram. They're both down, right? What's up? X is up. They're the number one news app in 140 countries, including the United States. Facebook is kind of like, I don't know, a dead zone now. People are complaining when they go on Facebook because they only see group posts. They don't see their friends anymore. They don't see anything that people are posting anymore. And people want their news. They want unfiltered. They want it. Trustworthy, exactly. And I think multiple people are very well aware that Facebook has been censoring them. And now they've turned to X. Elon has become very successful. They said when he took it over that Twitter was going to die. It was done. And now it's the number one news app in the world.
Well, I mean, what people want to see is things that are real, right? Like they want to know when something is fake, and they want to know when something is real. They don't want to be told. We don't want to be force-fed the information that we know is not true. And at a certain point, the consensus knowledge, the group intellectual ability is more powerful than the media. And we know, like, when they talk about these polls that Kamala Harris is ahead of Trump in the polls, you walk down the street, it doesn't matter where, right? Like, you walk down the street and you're like, no, man. I mean, that's like saying that Maduro won his actual election in Venezuela. No, they had to hide that. They finagled it. It was obvious from the beginning. They did exit polls, and it was like a 70-30 split. We know when things don't make sense. That doesn't mean that we're going to go to have a revolution over it, but we know when they don't make sense. And if you continue doing that forever, so now we resign to the idea that we don't have honest elections, that's what causes the revolution, right? Like, when we know, okay, well, now there's no real elections, you're going to steal this one too. No, we're not going to continue like this. We got to do something. Yeah. And that begins like this ramp up snowball effect of people getting mad and angry. And we already lost trust in the media, right? In 2016, 8 years ago, forget it. The media became irrelevant with one phrase, one pair of words: fake news. Right? Trump came up with the term fake news, and the media was destroyed because once it comes out there, once it's out in the ether, it connects with people. You're like, oh, that's fake news. He's right. That's fake news.
Absolutely.
What the hell's going on? Fake news, fake news, fake news, fake news. And now we realize Facebook is all fake news too. We already knew that.
Yeah,
but now now he's admitting it, and that must mean he's in real big trouble. And I think that's a real great insight, that there's a financial aspect. In my mind, I'm thinking, I hope he goes to jail, but it's good that he's losing money too, right? He's irrelevanting himself because X is so much more powerful. And if you go on X, it's like vibrant, it's honest, there's actual dialogue, it's true. You can also you can tell which is interesting, that you can tell when the Chinese bots are attacking and so on, right? Like like these things are, the human consciousness is picking up on these things where it's not new anymore, right? It's not like a movie when we thought, oh my God, are those ghosts on a flat wall? What is that, right? No, now we know what it's about, and we know that we're being deceived.
Yeah, and President Trump was up in arms about this. He put out this tweet, and I can't blame him. I mean, why? Of course he'd be upset.
I would be upset. Yeah, they stole his election.
Yeah. Sure
so
did.
What did he say? What did his tweet say?
He says Zuckerberg admits that the White House pushed to suppress Hunter Biden laptop story and much more. In other words, the 2020 presidential election was rigged.
Yeah. I mean, we read it earlier, but it had to be said. Yeah. You can't. I mean, they prosecuted him for saying that the election was stolen. I mean, what is going on in this country? The United States of America prosecuted a man for saying that the election was stolen, when here you have Zuckerberg saying that the United States government was interfering with the election.
Yep.
I mean, what else do you need? And then they came out with a statement. What did they say, Tom?
Oh, no, that's not their statement.
No, I thought that was the federal government made a statement.
No, the federal government made a statement, and they said that that it was in the story, in the news, in the video, that that they feel it's important that social media giants are careful with what they push on their platforms.
Yeah, essentially, it was like you got to toe the line, right? We have to control the message, and we think that they should be responsible for doing the right thing, so to speak. But doing the right thing meant doing what the government said. It didn't mean telling the truth. Right. It meant lying. So now you have the government openly saying that we were hoping that they would do the right thing, that they're responsible for telling the community or the people what we want them to be told, even though it's lies. Yeah. And they don't use the word lies, but a difference of opinion. But no, they're lies when it's untrue.
Well, we have multiple lies on the broadcast tonight.
Yeah, we got a lot of lying. There's a lot of lies. Yeah,
a lot of lies. And like I had said before, I don't even know if I said this to you before the show or if I said it during the show. But President Trump has done 37 interviews this month, all right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Between August and now.
More than one a day.
Yep. And Kamala Harris did one. And she didn't even do it alone. She did it with her running mate, Tim Walz.
What was that? What was that? Like the oddest thing? She needed a backup plan? What was that about?
In the most comfortable setting that she could find, which is CNN. MSNBC would probably be comfortable too, but, And lots of things came out of this interview, John, like this. She explained why she shifted her position on key issues since her first run for president. And here it is.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident?
Listen to the leading that she's doing here, Dana Bash. Giving her the answers.
He's giving her the answer. Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, wait. She gives her the answer, right? Everyone at home, listen. She gives her the answer. You heard her giving her the answer. But Kamala Harris is too dumb to take it. Listen to what she says instead.
Saying now is going to be your policy moving forward.
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed.
Yeah, well,
that's the most incredible thing I've ever heard in my life. I think if her values have not changed, right, her policies and what she says out of her mouth changes every single time she speaks. Now, 90% of the time, it makes no sense. But here she is telling you that her values have not changed. That means that she loses the election because she's for no border whatsoever, right? She was the border czar. So her values aren't changing. She doesn't have any way to improve. That's like our Osceola County schools when they give themselves all A's for everything. Right? Like the general counsel for the school district, she gave herself a self-evaluation and she put 5s on everything. There's 30 different things and there's a 5 on every single one of them. That's how ridiculous those statements are. That, you know what? She could have said, my values didn't change, but I have learned a lot, right, over the past 3 years, and I know how to fix these problems, right? And I'm going to start today. I'm not going to wait until I'm elected. That's what a smart person would say. But she's like, let's toss some, tomato and cucumber and lettuce, romaine and whatever, and makes a word salad out of it. This is totally crazy. The fact that she says her value. The Green New Deal. You see, car manufacturers. Volvo was one of the super progressive companies that said they were going to only do electric cars from now on. They just went back on that and said, "Oh no, we're not going to do only electric cars anymore." Why? Because we can't sustain it. It doesn't make sense to do that, right? So they're going to kill a company with so much history for this Green New Deal that they're trying to pass. But her values have not changed. Even Volvo, a super progressive company, changes. Even Mark Zuckerberg says, "Yeah, we messed up the elections." Right?
I don't think it came out all the way.
It didn't come out all the way. I'm glad I caught myself. Right? Even Zuckerberg said we messed up the election with election interference, but her values have not changed, and she's got the worst record of all the people I've mentioned. I mean, it's absolutely crazy, and I can't believe that that's who the Democrats put up for president. And I don't understand the people that we're putting up for president in this country. It just doesn't make any sense.
No.
I don't know what the qualifications are.
John, if you have to keep telling people that the climate crisis is real, that's your first problem, because obviously it's not. If you have to try and keep convincing people,
amen, Tom.
It's real.
Amen, Tom. Amen. Absolutely. We need to clip that one statement, and it needs to be like in the modern day. Just like we need to put that in a history book somewhere. You don't have to convince people that something is dangerous, right? We heard it during COVID. Like if COVID was so terrifying, people would be in their houses and closing the curtains. Instead, they were like getting outside and getting chased by cops to go inside. So yeah, if nobody's fearing it, no. So climate change, would a bank be giving a loan on a beachfront property if they really thought that that house was going to go into the ocean? No, they don't. No. It's all a facade.
No.
And now we're learning that. We're learning it, right? I mean, that's what we're all learning together.
And you'll see that she wants to push this scam, which I think it's a scam. And you see in other states where they've started to implement this stuff, and it's just crazy. Elimination of gas stoves and stuff like that.
Gas stoves. We know that these things are not causing the problems in the earth, right? Like it's not gas stoves. And forget that. I mean, even in the United States, let's say that we go back to the Dark Ages, right? China's not going to do that. China's not going to do that. There's no other country in the world that's going to be so idiotic that they're going to go back on and just kill their economies and go back to the Stone Age.
No.
But the United States is willing to do that. There's something else at play, and I hate to think it's the most nefarious thing, but some of the stories that we'll talk about point to maybe it is, because they do like their Chinese spies, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do. They sure do. Well, also coming out of this interview, John, she said,
my God, more?
Yes, Vice President Harris said she has no regrets about hiding Biden's mental decline.
Her values stayed the same.
Exactly. Here she is.
You were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly.
You don't have to say truly when you're actually honored, right? You'd be like, this is a huge honor, right? This is a huge honor. And people can feel serious. I'm being serious. This is not a joke, folks. This is not a joke, folks. No, she's not honored at all. This is why she's going to lose. Right. This is why her career ends here in a miserable state. And they have to steal the election. And they're right now, the Democrats aren't coming up with a strategy on how to win the election. The Democrats are coming up with a strategy on how they can steal the election and get away with it, because that's the only way that they remain relevant, unless the GOP saves them and saves the two-party system. And I was like, listen, we need the yin and the yang. Right? We can't just be the Republican Party. Somebody else will come up and who knows what happens and whatever. We need the two-party system. So the Republican Party might throw a lifeline to the Democrats. I wouldn't be surprised because we're seeing that here locally, right? We're seeing the Republican Party throw a lifeline to the Democrats because of their own things that are going on. And they maybe they can't handle a supermajority is the reality. And they don't want to be a supermajority because they all look bad under supermajority, right? So that might be the same thing. That's why they killed the red wave that was going to happen in 2020. And they might be trying to kill a red wave now.
I hope that's not true, John. I really do. But, all signs are pointing that that's the case. So,
yeah.
President Trump went to Arlington to honor the Gold Star families. Well, Kamala Harris made a big deal about that and said it was political posturing. Well, the Gold Star families had something to say to Vice President Harris, and here it is.
Vice President Harris.
Vice President Harris, my name is Steve Nakui. I'm the father of Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nakui.
My name is Jim McCollum. I am the Gold Star father of the United States Marine Corps Lance Corporal Riley McCollum.
This is Mark Schmitz, Gold Star father of Marine Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz.
My name is Darren Hoover, and I'm the Gold Star father of United States Marine Corps Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover.
My daughter-in-law, Sergeant Nicole Leanne G., was killed in the Afghanistan exit at Abbey Gate.
Our kids were murdered because of your administration.
You were not at Dover for the dignified transfer. And no time have you reached out to me to offer your condolences, to offer thank you for Kareem's sacrifice and service.
You have 13 families who have been waiting over 3 years to so much as get a phone call, to so much as hear our kids' names said aloud.
You failed for 3 years and 8 months to acknowledge our kids.
Where were you and Joe Biden on August 26, 2024? Nowhere near Arlington Cemetery. You couldn't be bothered to be with us or even say our kids' names. just as you have done for the last 3 years.
Vice President Harris, I ask you, why won't you return a call and explain to us how you call my daughter-in-law's death a success? President Trump has called. President Trump shows up. But President Trump takes the time to hear our loved ones' stories.
We invited him to be there.
These are the only memories we get to make with our son, and it is you who is playing politics and trying to detract from our memories made that day.
President Trump has been there for us. He's been a rock for us. He showed compassion for us, and he showed he truly cares for the families that truly do know what the ultimate sacrifice really is.
Wow. We didn't watch that video in the prep for the show, and that is that was a gut punch. That was even hard to watch for me. If you've never seen, soldiers or airmen or Marines carry a casket out of a C-17, it's hard to even it's hard to explain. And these guys, or even more so, see a plane, a C-17 loaded with like 6 caskets or so during one of these things, and watch the impact of the soldiers. This may have been 13 people that sacrificed their lives for their country, but this is impactful to thousands of people that those people have touched, not just the families, but the fellow Marines that were there, that knew them, that I guarantee you to this day are still mourning their service members, and the families' friends, and a community that, these communities where they were taken from. And for them to play politics with the lives, the sacrifices that these Marines made, it's an absolute brutal act by someone who has no care in the world. What does it take to humble yourself and come to these families and say, you know what, God bless you, we're very sorry, but you can't do it because it's all politics, right? I mean, how ugly. I remember that there, like JFK, like during the Vietnam War, I remember some presidents would sign, they would sign the letters. They would come down and sign letters themselves and stuff, and they would make calls themselves every so often. And these guys, you had 13 go. And it's rare that 13 soldiers or Marines are killed in one act, and you don't call. I mean, it's been a long time, 3 years, and you don't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible. It's terrible. But what an impactful video that is. My goodness.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And if Kamala Harris had been quiet and didn't say a word, it's bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like you just said, for almost 4 years now, 3.5 years, she hasn't tried to call. Biden hasn't tried to call, hasn't tried to meet with these people and speak to them. But the fact that you come out and you try and make it politics and try and take a hit at your opponent over it, it's just unforgivable.
It really is. I mean, what are they thinking? What are they thinking?
Not thinking clearly, that's for sure, and not thinking about these people. But, Kamala Harris, we've talked about how she's a liar, and we've said multiple times and given examples of her lies. But here's another one right here, John. She's trying to relate to the average American. And
gosh.
There was an investigation done, an extensive investigation, because
everybody's heard this story.
Working at McDonald's, right? But they couldn't find any evidence that she ever worked there. It's kind of funny. Here's the explanation of what happened here.
Ever since Tiananmen Tim got busted for lying about being a head coach, inflating his military service, and telling Kamala he can't handle spice after winning a spicy taco competition, there's been growing doubts about the Harris-Walz campaign. Tonight, one of Kamala's key elements to her biography has come into question, and it's a big one.
I want to ask a question about a topic that really unites America. Fast food. Okay, so here's the deal. I heard a
guy,
rumor that you worked at McDonald's. Is it true?
I did. Yes, I did.
I didn't know that about
when I was
you.
in school.
Me too. I worked registered, drive-through, and grill. I was known as the triple threat. Okay, just for the record.
I did fries.
Listen, hold on, pause it. Pause. There you go. Look, here's the thing. You know, like if you're a boat captain, right? And then somebody comes along and says, "Oh, I'm a boat captain too." Really what they mean is they've been in the boat before, but they're like, "Oh, I'm a boat captain too." Yeah, well, when did you graduate from school or whatever, or where you have the conversation? And you know, like somebody's lying, you catch somebody lying. It's like, dude, why are you lying about it?
Yeah.
This is what's happening right here because this, I don't know what that is. That's whatever it is that person is doing, right? They're like, "Oh, I used to be on here and here." And then she's like, "Oh, I used to be fries."
Yeah.
This guy knows that she's lying right then and there.
Oh my God, Drew Barrymore is so cringy.
Oh, me too. Oh, I didn't know this. I'm so interested.
Yeah, she's unbelievable.
So fake.
I did fries, and then I did the cashier.
Okay, I'm impressed. Fries are hard.
A producer at Primetime who used to work the kitchen said fries aren't hard. They're the easiest. And Commala didn't even...
And you know what? I'm going to concur with Jesse Waters, John. I was a fast food manager. It was my second management job in my life, very early on in my life. I worked for Wendy's. I worked for Wendy's for 8 years. All right.
Man, Tom, all of your jobs are like long-term, dude. What a great employee you must be, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you for a fact, I was a training store manager for them. Fries is the absolute easiest position in the store. You put your newbies there. You put your worthless. I don't want to say worthless, but your less skilled employees on fries, and because
put the basket in the oil. What's that creepy Silence of the Lambs music? You know, you put the basket in the oil.
Yeah,
it puts the basket in the oil.
It's the easiest part of the job, and obviously, if that's what Commala did, that speaks volumes to me, knowing what it takes to do that job. And that guy that's on Drew Barrymore's show there saying that's hard. No, buddy, that's not hard.
Yeah, that's not hard.
Start talking about cooking fries until she decided to run for president. There was no mention of McDonald's in both of her memoirs, and so far, all reporters looking into it have found no evidence. Andrew Kerr is a reporter at the Washington Free Beacon who's been investigating this story. So what'd you find?
Right, well, Kamala's story about her job at McDonald's has shifted dramatically over the past couple weeks. At first, her campaign came out and said that this was a job she worked to pay her way through college. But now they say that she worked there for one summer just to earn a little extra spending money. So yeah, we looked into it. Did she actually work at McDonald's? Well, she didn't mention it throughout the first several decades of her political career, made no mention of it in both of her books, including her 2019 memoir, in which she devoted an entire chapter to the struggles of service industry workers. There's been several biographies published about her in the past couple years, none of which mention her job at McDonald's. The author of one of those biographies told us that he was not aware of the claim. We obtained a job application that Commala filled out for a law clerk position in 1987 that instructed her to list every job that she had for the past 10 years. McDonald's is not mentioned in that job application or in her resume at that time. We reached out to McDonald's corporate several times asking, hey, can you confirm her employment? No response. We reached out to McDonald's in the Alameda area. None would say if Commala worked at their location. We reached out to the Harris campaign asking, hey, can you specify which location in Alameda County that she worked at? And they won't answer. So it's possible that she did work at McDonald's for a few weeks in the summer of 1983. But when you put all this together, it just raises some very serious questions about what has become a foundational narrative that Democrats are relying on to connect Kamala Harris to the working class.
So McDonald's keeps pretty good records of their employees?
Right. They have a full-time archivist on file. We pestered them for weeks and never got a response.
So they know everybody who's ever worked at a McDonald's, and you gave them a month or a couple weeks, and the maybe future president of the United States, something you'd want to brag about if you were McDonald's. They didn't get back to you with anything. That is, and you're right, Andrew, we're not saying she never worked at McDonald's. We're just saying it doesn't smell right and there's no evidence anywhere. Anything else you'd like to add? You do a really good job with this investigative reporting.
Thank you. Yeah, I think a great comparison is the 2008 campaign. It was a big storyline, Obama's first job as an ice cream scooper at Baskin-Robbins. The difference with then and now is that there was no mystery at all surrounding Obama's first job. News outlets published the address of his Baskin-Robbins in Honolulu on their websites. Photographers posted photos of the location. Baskin-Robbins proudly touts on his website that Obama used to scoop ice cream for them. And the manager of that location joked to the LA Times in 2009 that she turned into somewhat of a media professional after dealing with so many reporters during the 2008 campaign. The same just can't be said about Harris. There's nothing but mystery surrounding her claim to work at McDonald's.
Very mysterious. Maybe it was Burger King and she forgot.
What a great line. Here's the thing. She never worked at no McDonald's, man. They would find it. Listen, it'd be like me trying to say that, I worked at so-and-so and I never worked there. Believe me, they would find out. And this is for a nobody, okay? If you lied, and this is just, applying for the bar, like you lied, they'll find out. It's easy. Come on, there's the internet. Everything is on record. Do you think that McDonald's is not going to keep track of who works at McDonald's? They're like they are like Stepford wives weird when it comes to their employees. And you don't know that who works there and they would have mentioned it, right? McDonald's would have been like, listen, where does a great career come from? You start at McDonald's, you work your way up to president. That's a great career path, right? It never happened. And she's full of crap and she lied. What is it about the Democrats that they love liars, man? They love liars. That's what it is. The Democrat Party, it should just be the liar party.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. John, at first you hear this story and you think, like, who cares? You know what I mean? How important is this? But, it gets to the core of her being. If she can lie about this, she can lie about anything. And
at a
just
given
like
time,
they said,
any moment.
Yeah, just like they said at the end, they said, Baskin-Robbins made a big deal about Obama working there. And McDonald's isn't saying a word about Kamala Harris.
Well, and Kamala Harris isn't 115 years old like Joe Biden is. Oh, no, he's old. That's all. Oh, I used to drive trucks. Oh, I was an astronaut. Oh, I used to live in Mexico. Oh, whatever it is that, Joe Biden will say to anything, right? Yeah. Well, she's not 90. Okay, she doesn't have any excuse. She's just a straight up middle-aged liar. That's all she is. You know who they should recruit to run for president is John Lovitz. Remember that character they used to have? Oh, that's right. That's the ticket. They're just straight up liars.
Yep. And it's not just her. It's not just her. It's her running mate too.
Her running mate too.
We've been hearing all about the lies coming from Tim Walz and. The people that are closest to him are coming out and saying this. On the Megyn Kelly show, he's a habitual liar. He lies about everything. He lies about stuff that doesn't make sense. They keep piling it up. These veterans who knew Tim Walz are speaking out about why they say he abandoned his troops, stolen valor claims, and more. That's on the Megyn Kelly show. We do have a small clip from it. Here it is.
He's a liar. He lies about everything. He lies about stuff that doesn't make sense. And, and again, here we got the Chamber of Commerce coming out. Yeah, you were in the Nebraska National Guard. You came to the Minnesota National Guard. Why? I don't know. Let's talk about. He says all these things. Like I was a football coach. You were assistant coach, and you were fired because of a DUI that you lied about being deaf on. Okay.
Whoa.
To try and get out of whatever you were trying to get out of there. It's just one habitual lie after another, and they keep piling up. And eventually there's not enough blankets to cover it up.
Wow is right, man.
Yeah. And just like, he said in that, there was a letter from the Chamber of Commerce, and here it is. This is a quote from that letter. We respectfully request that you remove any reference to our organization as it could be considered an endorsement of your candidacy. This
and then
guy,
he went on to say,
yeah. Which one?
that guy right there, the
Yeah.
president of the Chamber of Commerce, went on to say, right?
No,
Like,
I don't have the rest.
oh, you don't have the quote. So,
No.
the guy was like, basically, keep our name out of your mouth. It was like, I'm surprised that he didn't slap him like Will Smith. It was embarrassing. He was like, we don't want anybody to think that we ever said that. We needed to protect our name and whatever. In that letter, it basically goes on to say that we never provided you with any award and whatever. So, I mean, how embarrassing is it? I don't know why these people feel so comfortable. Have they ever been on the internet?
Yeah.
Has Commala ever been on a computer and just like Googled something? I think that they need to be more afraid of lying because it gets caught up and you say it in public and it's just I think that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are both shocked that they are where they are. Right. And that's why they're lying, because they shocked. They know they don't belong on the big stage. They know they're not talented enough to be there. They have to make up their resume. And and just like all the memes where it says, I lied on my resume and still got the job. And then that's where Kamala's at. Right. And it's like a fireman, trying to spit on a fire or something to put it out. They're out of their gourds when it comes to being able to do the job. It's just they're nowhere close.
No, not nowhere close. And it's not only us that feel that way. Tim Walz's family feels that way too, as they came out and his family endorsed President Trump. And this photo has gone viral. This is not AI. This is not fake. This is real. This is 100% real. His family is choosing Trump.
That's
and
crazy,
that,
right?
That says it all right there. I mean, if your family comes out and says, vote for the other guy, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad when your family takes a picture of the Trump flag behind you saying vote for Trump. Take their word for it. Right?
Yes,
I mean, these are the two best references that you could ever get. On one side, you have the guy's family that says that he's not there, right? And then on the other side, you have his army unit that's saying, don't vote for this guy. You cannot get two better references. These two people know him better than anybody else in the world. Nobody knows him better. No one else knows him better. Not his staff well, they might know him, but I guarantee you the real story about Tim Walz, you're not going to want to vote for, right? But his military unit is everything. I mean, that tells you everything. His family, that tells you everything. And if you still vote for him, you almost deserve to have him.
Yeah. I can tell you that Minnesotans are done with him. They're not happy with him at all. At the Minnesota State Fair, they even had a booth there that said "Fire Walls," and they had
no Tim Walz and stuff. I saw that. Yep.
It's just crazy. It's crazy. So, all right, John. So before we go across the nation and look at some news from across the nation, we have this important message from this new drug manufacturer, I guess.
Yeah.
Are you or your loved ones suffering from illnesses such as TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome? Do you dismiss or deny the current issues facing our country, such as historic inflation, illegal immigration, corporate corruption, World War III escalations, and the chronic disease epidemic? Are you willing to elect someone who was the least popular vice president in modern history, and who offers no policy or vision for America simply because your brain keeps telling you anyone but Trump? If so, you might be struggling from TDS. Introducing Independence. Independence allows you the freedom to finally think independently once again. Instead of believing everything you hear from the mainstream media, Independence allows for constructive critical thinking.
I used to hear people on the news say things like,
Donald Trump and the movement he has encouraged are a threat to democracy.
And I instantly believed it. With Independence, I now realize the media is run by the Democrat elite, who are a corrupt oligarchy that censors free speech, silences political opponents, supports forever wars, and abandons democracy by anointing its candidates.
Independence may not be for everyone. If you enjoy being lied to about your president's cognitive abilities, support Orwellian totalitarianism, or are excited about communist fiscal policy, Independence may not be right for you. Common side effects of Independence may include an awakening of rational thought, successfully identifying propaganda, freedom of choice, loss of hatred, anti-narcissistic behavior, and love of democracy.
I used to blindly hate whoever my party was running against. I didn't care about facts or policy because I was hopelessly indoctrinated. With independence, I'm much more interested in policies that uphold democracy, and I truly care about the health of our country and its citizens.
Ask your doctor if independence is right for you, and enjoy your freedoms once again.
All right, John. That was interesting. Independence.
What a great ad. What a great ad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to order some of that, and I can give it to people when I see that they're suffering from TDS.
Yeah, and we know a few of those people, so
we know a lot of them.
Yeah. So first up, John, this transgender golfer is slamming women who complain about having to compete alongside a biological man. And we did see this picture earlier in the show, but if you haven't seen this person, here you go.
Wait. Listen. On this show, we do not make fun of people for their looks, okay? And never mind. Put the picture up. This is crazy. Oh boy. Have you? Do you have that? Do you remember that villain from James Bond, the guy with the metal teeth?
Oh, Jaws.
That's what this guy looks. That bite force. I wonder what that bite force is that this dude has. First of all, I think this is a Neanderthal technically.
Well, that sloping.
Are you sure you have the right picture?
That sloping forehead looks like the Frankenstein monster. I mean, you know.
Are you sure that's not the character from Rocky? You might have the wrong picture, Tom.
No.
Dolph Lundgren or whatever his name is.
This is the individual. This is it. This is the individual. This individual's name is Haley Davidson, or at least that's what this individual is calling himself, who is attempting to compete in the LPGA Tour, said women only have their own athletic failures to blame if they lose out to trans athletes. This is the exact quote. I will never understand athletes who blame a transgender competitor on their own athletic failures.
I mean, this is crazy. I mean, I'm shocked, right? I mean, okay. First of all, that guy resembles a woman the way this brick wall resembles the Mona Lisa. I mean, there's just nothing there. Okay. That looks like John Daly trying to win. I wonder what his drive distance is. Everybody else is driving 250 yards and he's driving 450 yards. And he's got you better start practicing, ladies. I don't know what your problem is. I mean, come on. There's no way. Listen, that's why in golf, they don't have any wokeness in golf, right? Because the laws of physics prevent the BS. There's men's tees and ladies' tees. And if you can hit from the men's tees and still drive the same distance as a man and you're a lady, then you're on the LPGA, right? If you are a man hitting from the ladies' tees, you just need to go to the gym. But you can go work your way back. I mean, there's no way they separate it by tees, the length. There's no way that a man or a woman is going to be able to hit as far as a man. This is all about physics. And for them to allow that dude to go on there and wear a skirt, I don't know if you've seen how short a golf skirt is, but listen, that LPGA golfers' number one sponsor is a jockstrap company, right? There's a problem here. There's a problem here. We need to stop this craziness already.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, my daughter, I'm dying to get my daughter to play golf. I hope she plays it in college. I hope she makes it to the LPGA one day. And it would be outrageous for a man to come and take her spot on the tour because he wasn't good enough to play with the men.
Yeah, absolutely. And
can you imagine being married to that guy, to that woman?
I'm imagining this dude out on the golf course in that tiny little skirt, and them having to hand out doggy bags to the people watching, for when this person takes a swing. It's unbelievable, John. I don't know what's going on in our country right now.
Well, at least the LPGA is saving money on cups. At least they were. Now it's going to create a trend where They're, now cup is a standard safety device for golfers and on the LPGA tour.
Oh my God.
Why don't you ever see a woman playing like on the NBA or MLB or NFL?
No.
I mean, if this is real, then that switch should be no problem.
Yeah.
But it's always a man playing in a woman's sport against women and who dominates. I mean, come on, it's just let's not pretend. I'll never pretend that that's
there
cool.
are real, unrefutable biological differences between a man and a woman.
Of course.
And you'll never overcome them. It'll never be different.
Let's say that there wasn't, Tom, just the law of averages because of the way things are. Let's say that we've evolved to become the same. The law of averages prevents this from being fair. It makes no difference. I mean, of course, biologically, scientifically, we're two completely different things. Men and women should not be in the sports together. That's only how women get hurt. Right? That's why they've separated it to begin with. That's why we have Title IX, so that women get the same amount of investment in their sports as the men do. But now you're allowing men to go compete there? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. The world's on fire, John.
Yeah, the world is on fire. And I hope that they start with the golf skirts that this guy wears.
Kamala Harris has tapped this anti-Semitic Reverend Butler to lead her faith outreach. And this is actually a decent photo of this individual. I've seen some and don't look as nice as this one. But
I think that's the same golfer, isn't it?
No,
I'm pretty sure that's the same person. Wow, what a career she's got, or he's got.
The forehead is not the same, but Jen Butler, that's her name, Reverend Jen Butler, a longtime supporter of Jew hater Linda Sarsour and promoter of the false Jesus was Palestinian narrative, sends a chilling message to the Jewish community. But she's since deleted these posts, and these are the posts we're talking about, John. This one from 2021, where she's replying to Dr. Chinekwa, "Your prayer could not be more faithful. I wonder if these same folks would attack Jesus, a brown-skinned Palestinian Jew, for crying out, 'My God, why have you forsaken me?'" Like, okay, there's
this
one.
Is so dumb. I mean,
here's
somebody who sends this kind of Twitter, this kind of tweet, is unhinged, right? Whenever, look, me, I'm crazy, right? I say all kinds of things. I make all kinds of jokes. I'm very irreverent. Never am I going to mention, like, if I was going to write a tweet and I was going to mention, what's his name, Muhammad, right?
Yeah.
Or Buddha or something like that, I'm going to think twice before what I say, because I'm going to be offending people to their deepest core. When I offend a politician, nobody cares. They're not sacred cows. But when you move into those sacred cow situations, like you were talking about Buddha or Muhammad or whatever, not that I wouldn't, but I would consider it very carefully. And I would do it as a joke, right? Because otherwise you would be essentially a racist or a bigot or whatever, right? That would be the reality of the situation. Here she is making this underhanded, like, anti-Christian statement about whatever. She doesn't care that she offends anybody. She has that's when you have like hate in your heart for somebody, right? And the hate in her heart is for Jewish people, you can tell, and for Christians.
Yeah,
so
and for people. I mean, she says
not good.
In this tweet, she says, "This is the moment for women of color to lead and white women to follow." And this is a retweet of a quote from Linda Sarsour, leader of the Women's March for Juneteenth. So, I mean, this is the type of person we're dealing with here. This is her thoughts, her beliefs. Somebody that you don't want out there being the faith leader, so to speak. So.
This is crazy. Let me take a quick moment before I continue to give a quick shout out to School Board Member Horn for watching. Kathy Harris, thank you. We love you too. And Tony Manila, longtime watcher and friend of the shows. Thank you guys for chiming in.
Tony.
Listen, this this is not how you pick a faith leader to talk about unity on one hand, and then pick somebody who's racist against her own race, nonetheless, right? And who's a religious bigot, and the other, and then talk about unity. I mean, you can't do both. What I mean, and I don't think they're really trying to. They do with their words, but they're not trying in reality to be a party of unity. Unlike Donald Trump, who brought Tulsi Gabbard, a Democrat, who brought JFK to the table, right? That's actually somebody working to unity.
Elon Musk,
the Nobel Peace Prize. Elon Musk, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
So in one of our favorite states, John, Vermont, their Department of Health is urging schools not to use words like son or daughter. And this is what they put out, John. They put out this post here. It says, "The language we use matters. Many families and students are getting ready for the new school year. Equity in the classroom is an essential piece of a productive and healthy learning environment. When talking about family, it's important to use terms that cover the many versions of what family can look like. Sign up now for our monthly health equity newsletter." This is outrageous, and this is one of these liberal states that we talk about. This is what they put out. Inclusive language for families. Use child or kid instead of daughter or son. This is gender neutral and can describe a child who may not be someone's legal son or daughter.
No.
Say
God.
family members rather than household members. Not all families live in the same home. Think divorced or incarcerated parents. Whoa. All right. Say family rather than extended family. Often grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins are important parts of a core family unit. All right. Now, I don't disagree with the last one. You know, I mean, telling people what to say, I disagree with that. But, you know, grandparents, aunts, uncles, part of a core family unit, absolutely.
It's not even about agreeing how we feel about it. It's why are you putting words in the mouths of people?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They'll describe it. You don't think a kid is going to come to school and know how to refer to their own grandparents? You don't think a parent comes to school and knows how to refer to their own child, whether they want to call their child a kid or whatever? I mean, they do. And however they talk about or reference their family member is the way that you should reference their family member. Yeah. It's that simple. As a teacher, it's not your job to control the dialogue of how a parent calls their family. And you're trying to create cultural problems for the people that are in the school. That's called indoctrination. And that's exactly what's going on in our schools. You have a teacher, because they're being instructed by a school district that's led by a bunch of bureaucrats who have no idea what they're doing, right? And when it comes to educating kids, they are telling their teachers, from now on, you're not going to use the word son or daughter. We're going to be crazy here in Vermont, and you're going to use the word child or drone or something else, right? Yeah. It's crazy. That's all it is. It's crazy. They're trying to change culture, and they're robbing all the cultures of the people that belong there, who are supposed to be educated. They're robbing those kids of the culture that is theirs. And they're trying to create their one non-generic, non-Christian, you know, non-historic culture where you just obey the government.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. I don't know why a parent wouldn't go there and be like, don't ever refer to my child generically. You call my son, son. You call my daughter, daughter.
Yeah.
And that's what parents need to start doing. You still need to start fighting back against this BS.
Yeah. Absolutely. And these parents that live in Vermont, I mean, you know, we shouldn't be surprised since this is the land of Bernie Sanders. But stuff like this is happening all across the Northeast, whether it be Massachusetts, Connecticut, you know, all those areas, New Hampshire, all this stuff is happening up there. And that's why you see droves of those people leaving and coming to Florida, Georgia, and the southern states. It's just outrageous, the things that's going on there. And for the state, the Department of Health to be putting this out, just shameful.
I mean, it is shameful. It is shameful. I mean, it's just, I mean, they can't even teach their kids how to read. And here they are trying to now change the language. It's like Latinx. You know, look at Latinx trying to tell Hispanics, oh, you know, you have 1,000-year-old language. Let's just remove this little, you know, we're going to remove this thing here and we're going to put an X here because some liberal elitist thinks that you should all be genderless. No, thanks.
No. And not understanding the language and how it works. and
Or
trying to
caring.
do this. Yeah, or caring.
You know, or
And
caring.
shame
It's
on
really
you
about
if you're
control.
Hispanic and you go along with it. You know, shame on you. But yeah. All right. So stolen valor, John. We kind of talked a little bit about that earlier. Well, Governor Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, admits an error in Bronze Star claim on his fellowship application. This is interesting. Watch this.
Questions about the Bronze Star status. I just want to hit you on that real quick and let you kind of clear the air as to what happened.
Yeah, so I take full accountability for an honest mistake that was made on an application that I sent out nearly 20 years ago. I'm incredibly proud of my service. I'm incredibly proud of the soldiers and the paratroopers that I led in combat. I led some of the best soldiers and some of the best warriors that the world has ever produced. And I'm really proud of not just what I did in combat, but I'm really proud of the work we've done to support veterans since coming back as well.
So a lot of this, and when you say it was an honest mistake, this was between you and your commanding officer, and you kind of thought that this was done, or at least your commanding officer thought that this was a done deal, right?
Yeah. My commanding officer not only nominated me, he instructed me to put it on the application, and he's actually already resubmitted the paperwork because he found out a couple days ago. He's like, I thought you got it. So he's actually resubmitted the paperwork. But, you know, I take full accountability. It was my application, but I also know that
I take full accountability.
No, it's not my fault. I take full accountability. Okay, listen, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Listen, I was at one point in my service, in my Army service, I had a promoter write a P next to my name, and that just means that I'm ready to get promoted. And that would have been like me putting on that rank ahead of actually being promoted. That is absolute Article 15. Immediately you can absolutely be prosecuted for that. If you do it as a civilian, it absolutely is stolen valor. You do not lie. If you don't have it, you don't put it on there. Just because you thought you were going to get it doesn't mean that you put it on there. Okay, you do not put it on there unless you have it on your DD-214. And that's the thing. If it's not on your DD-214, if it's not on your ERB, if it's not on your documentation, you do not go out and say that you earned it because it has not come through. You're not in control of what you get awarded. And for him to say that, they thought my commanding officer said to put it on there. It didn't get issued. It's not issued. You don't put it on. That's like me saying I'm a millionaire because I made a bet on a horse race. No, until that horse wins, you're not a millionaire. It's crazy that he would think that. It's just it makes me feel like he really doesn't know what it's about being service. And I question what his soldiers would say about him if he's willing to do that. That's embarrassing. Listen, I would love to say that I was special forces, that I was like Halo qualified, that I jumped out of the plane that went the highest in the I was also an astronaut and a Navy SEAL at the same time. I'd love to say all those things. Okay, I'd love to say those things. I'd love to say that I earned the Medal of Honor and that I saved 100,000 people and I carried 40 soldiers on my shoulders and saved them all. I would love to say those things. But when you do, not only are you committing a crime, but you're committing a crime against the people who have served and have done those things. And believe me, people have done those things. So to do that it's just so insulting to them. It's so dishonorable. That's why service members were so passionate about pushing things like stolen valor, because when you witness heroes in wartime, do things that heroes do, it's meaningful. And then when somebody steals that kind of honor back here stateside, it's disgusting. And this guy should have resigned in disgrace. And most importantly, a decade or two ago, they would have resigned, right? Because people had enough honor that they would resign when they got doing this. Now it's like, oh no, Joe Biden lied about everything that he ever turned in.
Yeah.
When he was in law school, he lied about everything he did as president. So why the hell am I going to resign when we have a liar in the White House?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this country has come to, and it's because of the Democratic Party. They are the creators of that.
Yeah, Joe Biden has had a career of lying. And, you see this guy saying, oh, it was just an honest mistake,
No,
and
that's not a mistake.
That makes it forgivable, No, you should never feel good about yourself when you lie about something like this, or lie in general, but especially something like this. So go to hell, Wes Moore.
Yeah.
All right, so breaking news, John. Former Deputy Chief of Staff to New York Governor Kathy Hochul, Linda's son, and her husband, Chris Hu, are charged with acting as agents of the Chinese government. This seems to happen to Democrats quite a bit, John.
Yeah, I know, right? They love sleeping with Chinese spies. They love hiring Chinese spies. I mean, China, no wonder China has no respect for the United States because these people are so easy.
Yeah,
I mean,
look at her, John. I mean, I think Yum Yum would be definitely interested in this one.
Yum Yum is going to apply. She's going to leave Eric Smallwell and go to this one. That's so funny. But in all seriousness, why don't we have any spies in China getting caught? I mean, I hope that they're not getting caught because they're good, not just because we don't have any.
Or that the China communists wouldn't let us know. They keep that under the rug,
Yeah, the point is that there's like 1.5 billion Chinese people. 500 million of them live here in the United States, and they're spies for the Democrat Party. What the hell is going on?
They know that they're the easiest to get to. So
they're morons.
Yeah, she allegedly blocked reps of the Taiwanese government from meeting with state officials, and her husband received millions of dollars in business transactions from the Chinese government. So we'll keep posted on this. We'll keep an eye on this and see what comes of this. If any more is released about it, so I'm sure there will be. So John, more breaking news. America First Legal has put out a new lawsuit to stop illegal alien voting, and this is the lawsuit right here. America First Legal versus 15 counties in Arizona. And this is for refusing to remove illegals from their voter rolls. This follows their suit against Maricopa. Every county in Arizona is flagrantly defying its duty under state law to expunge illegal voters. And good for them. Good for them.
I mean, I'm glad every county, not one county, not two counties, not three counties, all 15 counties, 15 of 15 counties in Arizona are being sued for refusing to remove illegal aliens from their voting rolls. What does that tell you? They need vote ID. We need voter IDs. You should have one ID that takes care of everything. Voting, this, whatever, everything that you need. You need whatever. You should have your concealed carry. Everything should be on one state ID, and everyone should have one if you want to vote. If I need an ID to buy a gun, you should have an ID to vote. That's the bottom line. Because both of those things are two sides of one civic duty coin. One side is to defend your country and stand up for it according to the Second Amendment. The other one is to actually do your First Amendment. And those two things go together. You got to do both. And if I need an ID to do one, I should have an ID to do the other. Or I should not have IDs at all. I should not have to have an ID. If I don't need an ID to vote, which is the most important thing the most important way that we interact with our United States government, you shouldn't have an ID to drive. You shouldn't need an ID to buy a gun. You shouldn't need to identify yourself ever. You got to take my word for it, just like you're taking my word for it when I vote.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And I'll tell you this, there's been so much hand-sitting from Democrats, and we expect that from them, but so much hand-sitting from Republicans, too, on this issue. We need serious voter reform if we're ever going to be able to trust our elections, and we need serious SOE candidates. And thank God we have one here in Osceola County right now, and I'm praying he wins.
Yeah, I hope he does win. He's such a good guy. He's like really one of the best people in our community. He's a man with integrity. It's Jim Trouts that we're talking about. Jim Trouts in Osceola County. If you live in Osceola County, please support Jim Trouts for supervisor elections. We have a supervisor of election right now who violated state statute, who the newspapers, the liberal newspapers of Orlando, the Orlando Sentinel, they won't touch her. They won't investigate her. They won't do anything. They're chasing down any Republican of color, any conservative of color. That's their target, right? But they won't do anything about the supervisor of elections who violated state statute, who clearly mishandled an election just right now in August 20th. It was absolutely horrendous. She needs to be removed from office. I don't know why the governor has let her stay so long. I imagine that he's hoping that the elections take care of it. But if we can't trust our elections, then you can't leave it to the elections to take care of it.
We
So
can't trust her to count her own votes. You know?
no, we cannot trust her. And they say, oh well, on the canvassing board, she's replaced by former sheriff Bob Hansel. Look, Bob Hansel's a great guy. He has a great life of service. He's a community guy, great guy. Everybody loves him. I don't care. I don't want her in the room, in the building. She should have to go and sit in Orange County while those votes are being counted. But it's not. She's there to touch the votes. All of that is a violation. It's just absolutely terrible. And she's not only overseeing her own election, she's overseeing her son, who's a county commissioner, and her daughter-in-law, who's running for state senate, who's a state house rep right now.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's too much.
And you know, John, you know, it's nice that Sheriff Hansel is going to be on the canvassing board, but we've seen previous canvassing boards and who sits on those seats, and they're usually
too many connected people.
Yeah, connected establishment people. So how can you trust it? You just can't. You just can't. All right, John. So
absolutely.
To wrap it up, the final story of the show, we're going to try and end it on a good note. Texas State Representative Sean Theory just bolted the Democrat Party and became a Republican and endorsed President Trump. Now, it's hard to hear her in this video, but she was at a Moms for Liberty meeting, and here she is.
The Democratic Party has moved so far left, so deep into the progressive abyss, that it now champions policies that I cannot, in good conscience, support. Policies like promoting sex changes for vulnerable children, dismantling Title IX protections for women and girls in sports. This is not the party that I grew up with. I have witnessed firsthand how the so-called liberal left now stifles thoughtful debate, silencing dissent with an iron fist, demanding blind allegiance to an ideology where one must comply or be cast out. That is not the party that I support. The renowned poet Maya Angelou so powerfully said, and simply said, when you know better, you do better. And so it is today, at such a time as this, that I am officially announcing that I am leaving the ranks and the ranker of the Democratic Party.
So, yeah, I mean, it was a little bit hard to hear because it was filmed by somebody in the audience. But, you know, she basically says that the Democrat Party has left her. It's gone too far left. It's too liberal. And she's switching. So there you go.
I mean, you can't blame her. I applaud her. We've covered multiple people who have done this same thing, who have left the Democrat Party. People should listen. You should not feel pressured because of long-standing allegiance to a party that no longer represents what your values are. And not only not representing your values, but now they're fighting against your values. They want to break up your family. They want to break up your country. They want to make us look like things that we have fought against, at least what we thought we were fighting, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, the United States is no good. It's blah, blah, whatever. But Americans thought we were always doing the right thing, right? Americans in general voted for people who they thought would lead us to do the right thing, and that people who had integrity and honor and wanted to do the right thing, that people that were righteous. And now we're finding out that maybe there is no righteous people in Washington, D.C. Maybe there's no righteous president. Maybe we don't have a history of righteous decision-making in politics, but we thought we did. And we want that. And Americans want a righteous country. We want a country that's righteous. So I'm praying that this is a small step. I'm not saying that the Republican Party is an answer to anything. I'm saying that the Republican Party, at least the people who are in the party, still love this country and love their families and love God's and their God. Right? It's just like I love Jesus Christ, and people who come, it doesn't matter whether you're Muslim, whether you're Jewish, whatever you are, you still have faith and values. And those faith and values are worth protecting. Our country's worth protecting. Our families are worth protecting. The Democrat Party's not doing that at all. So why not switch? And then once we get rid of the Democrat Party, who's the enemy of the family, then we can start talking about what's next.
Yeah, and then that would be cleaning up the Republican Party.
Yeah, because it needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah,
it needs to be cleaned up.
Absolutely. All right, John, we went an hour and 20 minutes. And
yeah, all right. A little bit late.
Just a little bit, but we did have a lot to cover.
That was a lot. That was a lot. So listen, we hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for being with us. Unsanctioned America. We do it every week. So join us for Unsanctioned Florida later later next week. Next week, right? So we'll have a whole bunch of stuff for you ready to go. We appreciate you always watching. Thank you to the people who watched you and who reached out and sent messages. We love you. God bless you. We'll see you next week. Until then, on behalf of School Board Member John Arguello and my great friend over here, Citizen Tom, we'll see you next time.
Absolutely.